We're interested in more the sort of public-facing aspects of biodiversity, so the charismatic things that people tend to respond to in conservation campaigns, and rightly or wrongly, they tend to be the target of a lot of the land use policies that we're trying to influence. So what a lot of people at DICE are interested in are land use planning and influencing land use planning decisions. So we use biodiversity data amongst other data sources to try to help inform what the optimum layout of a landscape or an administrative unit would be for conservation, but also for other purposes as well. So at SAFE, like I said, we focus mostly on mammals and birds. So those involve two main field campaigns. The camera trapping campaign for mammals is distributed across the SAFE landscape and beyond SAFE in 4 or 5 other estates, all oil palm. And those cameras are nested within forest patches outside of SAFE and within the oil palm, but also within the oil palm survey design as well. And then we have an additional camera trapping campaign that looks at arboreal mammals. So we've got cameras in the canopy up in the trees, about 20 to 30 metres up in the trees, as well as on the ground. So we're looking at whether the disturbance effects that we're seeing for the terrestrial camera traps is also the same or different for the mammals that are disproportionately using the canopy for their day-to-day life in the forest. We're moving now beyond the I guess more simple but fundamental questions about how biodiversity, how species diversity and abundance responds to land use changes, to disturbance effects. So we're looking more at now what the thresholds and tipping points are for those changes. So, for example, at how much forest do you need in a landscape to sustain a viable population or viable amount of mammals or birds, for example, as well. So we also have a whole network of bird data points as well over the landscape. We actually have more data for birds than we do for mammals, but I'm a mammal person, so we tend to push that. So my research team, a few are moving on now, but we've had two PhD students, now postdocs, in the UK, working on the mammal and bird parts respectively. I have another PhD student who's finishing the arboreal camera trapping, a fourth one working on orangutans, and then we've had 2 students in the University of Malaysia, Sabah, who are co-supervised with Dr. Henry Bernard. And they're working on other aspects of the mammal fauna in riparian zones. So we're looking at how wide the riparian zone needs to be to sustain comparative numbers of species and populations of mammals, and then the log forest does. So this is all looking at oil palm policies. And then we're really keen to have our research embedded within a policy framework. So we've been working with the Forest Trust that developed the high carbon stock approach. So together with Greenpeace, they developed this approach that now the RSPO, the Roundtable for Sustainable Palm Oil, uses for plantations to help design the optimum layout for their activities, to make sure that the plantations are sustaining biodiversity and other ecosystem functions on top of production goals. And then we also have our riparian research embedded within the legislative framework within Malaysia. So we're working with partners in the state government of Sabah actually, about ways that we could help change or inform the changes in the riparian policy in the state. Mammal research in particular has been used to help validate the high carbon stock approach. So that's used within the industry to promote the biodiversity provisions or benefits of using high carbon stock approaches to help design oil palm plantation landscapes. So we can expect some continuation of that in the next 2 years. And then our riparian research has already had having some influence in developing the scientific case to extend the minimum width thresholds for the reserves in Sabah. But as we are publishing more data sets and translating and communicating those findings with various stakeholders in Sabah, I'd like to hope that there'll be more of a change in that legislation. I mean, so far it's been quite proactive, but they're not decisions that scientists working at SAFE make. We can provide the science to help inform decision making elsewhere.